Hey everyone, welcome back for another video. My name is Tanya, for those of you that are new here, and I am a watercolor artist and I paint furniture for a living. So you will be seeing both types of tutorials on this channel, but today I'm going to be doing a little watercolor for you. I thought we would paint some bubbles. It's a really good exercise for showing you how to blend colors beautifully. So I hope you enjoy the video. I have my Arches watercolor paper. I have 2 cups of clean water, one for cool colors, one for warm colors, and I've got my paintbrush size 10. I'm going to be teaching you how to do bubbles today, so I'm not going to be using that many colors. I think I'm only going to choose 3. And the ones I'm going to choose is, if you wanted to follow along, is the Daniel Smith Opera Pink, the Winsor Newton Green Blue, and the Winsor Newton Blue Green. So I'm just gonna be using those 3 colors today. If you wanted to follow along, you could always throw in a little yellow in there if you wanted to, or a little orange. Bubbles could be any color, but I'm just gonna do those 3 today. So what I'm gonna start with is I'm just gonna get my paintbrush wet and I'm gonna make a circle. Now it doesn't have to be completely circular. If it's a little off, you can always alter the shape of it later, so don't worry about that at this moment. And you want to just get the whole circle nice and saturated with the water, but you don't want any puddles on there. So kind of look at your paper sideways and you can see a reflection, and just see if there's any puddles on there. You want it to be really, really even with the water. You don't want any puddles. And if there is, just take your paintbrush and dab it off, and just dab it off on your paper towel. And then just get it nice and even. All right, so I think I'm gonna do the Opera Pink first. So like I said, I'm just using those 3 colors. And I'm gonna just dip it. I'm not even going onto my palette. I'm just going straight from the paint to the paper. And I'm just gonna kind of outline part of the circle at this point, because you do want some crisp lines on the edge of your circle. So just kind of go around, and you can always play around with the shape of it. If you feel that it needs to be a little bit rounder, you can always help it along. And I'm just letting that bleed nicely inside. So I'm just really going around the perimeter. And you're gonna wanna have a little bit of a white space just for a highlight on your bubbles. So, and they can always be wherever you want. You can have them right in the middle, you can have them on the side. Actually, it looks best if you have your highlights in different directions of the bubbles, not all on the same side. So it just gives it a little bit more interest. I'm gonna throw in a little bit of the blue-green. And when the blue-green hits the Opera Pink, it starts turning into this purple shade, because blue and red make purple. So you will automatically get the purple on your bubble. And I think I'm gonna throw in a little bit of the green blue on the opposite side. I think these 3 colors play really, really well together when you're making bubbles. But like I said, you could always put in a little bit of yellow or orange, but I'm just gonna stick with these 3. I think they're really pretty together. So I'm gonna leave more of my highlight in the middle of this one. I'm gonna let that one dry, and I'm gonna go on to another one. I'll put one right next to it here. And again, kind of look at your page sideways so you can see the reflection of the light. So you see where there's puddles on your paper. And you can always fix that by going over it with your brush over and over again. All right, and this time I'm going to start with the blue-green. And I'm going to help it along in the middle here. And I'm not going to go around my bubble all the way, and I'm just going to add a little bit more water. So I want more of the highlight to be on the right side. And I'm going to throw in a little bit of the pink probably on this side. And right away it turns into purple. So normally when I pick up paint, I like to mix it on my palette. For this painting, I'm not gonna be doing that. I'm just gonna be going straight from my paper, from my paint to my paper. All right, I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. Soften up my edge here a little bit. And I'll make one right here. And as soon as they start drying, I will overlap these circles, but I gotta let it dry first. So I'm just gonna continue to make more circles. And this one I will do a little bit more of the green first. And this one I'm gonna go all the way around. And don't worry if your circles aren't exactly perfect. Don't get hung up on that. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of the blue on this side. Now you can make your bubbles as vibrant as you want. You just pick up a little bit more paint if you want a little bit more vibrant with a little less water. If you want them to be a little bit more pastel, just pick up a little bit more water, then you do the paint. Add a little blue over here. And you can keep playing with them until they dry completely. You can keep altering it a little bit. And then just soften up your edges. You don't want hard edges on your bubble, except for the actual perimeter of it. The inside of the circle should be nice and soft. Let me add some water here. And if you think that you put down a little too much paint and it's a little too vibrant, just go over it with some clean water and dab it off on your paper towel. That's all. There. All right, I'm gonna turn my page. And I'll make another one over here. And you can always play with the sizes. I'm gonna make this one larger. And I think I'm going to do this one more pink. And when they dry, you can always go over and put another layer, which I've mentioned in previous videos. With watercolor, it's called glazing. When you let it dry completely and you go over it with another color or the same color, all it is just layering. But I guess it's just a fancier term saying you're glazing the watercolor painting, but it's really just layering. All right, I am going to add a little bit of the blue on the other side. Let it bleed in. And that was a little too much blue, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick it up with my brush and dab it off on my paper towel. So it's a lighter blue in the middle here. All right, I'm going to let that dry for a minute. And let's put another big one over here. And this one could be bleeding off the page a little bit. And I'll make this one more green. And another thing is, if you wanted, let's say, a little bit more highlight on this one, just take a clean paper towel and just start dabbing where you want your highlight and just pick up some of that water. And I think I'm gonna do the same thing to this one. And then that way it leaves a little bit of a highlight there. And you can make that highlight as big as you want. And then if you wanna just kind of dab it in a little bit just to soften it up a little bit, you can do that. All right, I am going to deepen up this one with a little bit more green. And I think I'm gonna go over that one again. So you could just start playing around with them. If you think that one needs a little bit more color or a little bit more depth, just keep adding more layers. And now see how I've got a hard edge here? You don't want that hard edge. So you're gonna wanna take your paintbrush and you're gonna wanna soften that up. And I'm gonna pull in a little bit more green on this side. And I'm just gonna let it bleed in a little bit to where I already had wet it. You can help it along a little bit if you want to. But it's nice just to see how something dries. It's always a surprise to see how it dries, and then you can just decide then if you like it or if you don't like it. Because sometimes it's really hard to judge your painting while it's still in the process of drying because you just don't know how it's going to dry. So I like to leave it sometimes and just figure it out once it dries. Do I like it or do you want to change it? My paper towel is getting really saturated, so I'm going to switch over to a drier one. Okay, I'm going to deepen up this one. And if you like the pastel look, then, you know, just make your bubbles a little bit more pastel. You don't have to keep layering and layering and layering. Just kind of put down your first layer, maybe second layer, and then just leave it like that. And you can start overlapping your circles. But I like a little bit more depth, so I like the darkness of these because it just pops it out a little bit. So again, as you see, I'm just popping out the color on the outside of the circle. That's where the reflection of the bubbles look darker. They're not really darker, but it just, your eye sees it as the outside being a little bit darker. All right, I think I'm gonna let these dry and then I'm gonna start overlapping a little bit more. There. Okay, so they're pretty dry right now. They're still a little bit cool to the touch, which means they're still a little bit damp, but it's dry enough. So I'm gonna start overlapping some of these. And I know I overlapped one there, but those two bubbles weren't exactly that dry yet. Okay, so I'm gonna overlap one right here. And some of your color will start pulling out, especially where you made your edges really, really dry, really dark. It will start pulling out into your bubble, but that's okay because you're gonna be making it the same colors anyways. All right, I'm gonna take a little bit of pink and I'm gonna start overlapping it. So there's one, and I'll put another one over here. So I went ahead and I dried my bubbles, but I do have some metallics here that I picked up the other day, and I usually don't use metallics, but I thought for the bubbles it'd be kind of fun. So I'm gonna pull in a little bit of the pink, the green, and the blue. These are not any specific brand of metallic colors. It's just something I picked up the other day. Thought it would be fun. So I'm gonna go ahead and get them wet here, and I'm gonna add the pink on top of the pink. It's just gonna give it a little bit of a shimmer once it dries. I'm not gonna do the whole bubble, but I'm just gonna add a little bit here and there. And it gives it this light, like little shimmer, a little sparkle. There, I'm not sure you can see the sparkle. I'll turn it in the light a little bit, maybe you can. So I thought it would just be fun to add a little bit of metallic to the bubbles. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video and learned a little something. And if you did enjoy the video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to this channel for more videos like this one. And I hope I inspired you to go out and create some bubbles. Have a great day. Bye.